The opinions expressed in Reality Rangers are individual and not necessarily representative of Spirit Live or Toronto Metropolitan University. Thank you for listening. Before we begin, let's just give out a quick spoiler alert for episode 3 of season 3 of Traitors Canada.
Welcome everybody back to Reality Rangers. I'm Andrew Hill.
And I'm Malik Fortier.
And we're back here talking about Traitors Canada Season 3, Episode 3. We're very excited, and there's no need for introductions. We might as well just get into it.
Yeah, we're already past halfway through the Spirit Life season. Time is flying by.
It really is.
Okay, well, without further ado, let's jump right into this episode. So we start in the turret, and where we left off last week was that the traitors, Venus, Kevin, and Coco, have to choose 4 faithfuls to put up for death row.
Yes. I mean, they can choose themselves, but it just doesn't make sense because they are informed that their fate is left up to the decision of the faithfuls. So what ends up happening is what I thought would be best case scenario. I think they played this out pretty perfectly, where they should put up the 4 most quiet, like most under the radar players.
Or as Coco would say, the borings.
The borings. And that's what they did. They put up Thompson, Mackenzie, Natalie, and Jericho.
See, we couldn't even remember Natalie's name.
Yeah.
And that's not her fault. That's just, she has no confessionals.
Yeah, no, those 4 have kind of been like thrown under the bus. As we go into breakfast, immediately it becomes clear that this was the right decision because people are like doing exactly what the traitors wanted them to do and start panicking over the fact that these people are very obviously quiet, reserved people, and they're the ones being thrown away.
A little bit of metagaming ensues. People look to big superfan Asfear, or as we like to call him, Asferocious. Because he says something along the lines of, in all the seasons that I've seen, because I've seen all of them.
He's seen all of them.
He's seen all of them. All of the seasons that I've seen that had this kind of twist, usually there's either never a traitor or a traitor in the coffin. He's not really clear. He goes back and forth, and that kind of raises people's eyebrows.
It might not have been intentional, but I think Venus kind of picked up on it a little bit and started kind of like leaning into it.
Yeah, you got to find those little things that you can kind of weaponize against people, and
Right.
Venus did a good job of that. Also at breakfast, we see a lot of people question why Hollywood Jade is not one of the 4 people up for murder.
Yes. It makes sense why they would assume that, but like it doesn't, realistically, it doesn't make sense to put up Jade, someone who is very obviously going to like want revenge if they survive. This person is going to be already cutthroat, and they are going to have like a hit list out for the people that didn't help them.
And, if the traitors put up Hollywood Jade, I think a lot of people would vote to save them because they are pretty well liked within the group of faithfuls.
Yes.
And so that would just, it would serve no purpose to the traitors.
No, it all ultimately just didn't make sense. I think the traitors did exactly what they were looking for, and it caused a ton of chaos.
Which is their number one goal.
Exactly.
And, after the breakfast, we see a few discussions, one of which was between secret couple Meredith and Shala.
Yes, they specifically mention how this is their first solo conversation, just given they wanted to keep their relationship under wraps. And the whole thing feels like they trust each other, but to a extent, like there's a lot of distrust that's slowly forming.
And so, we've never really seen tension like this between 2 people secretly playing a game together. And something to note, big developments in the Traitors Canada world. We see on Meredith's Instagram that apparently the duo have split up after, 9 years?
Yeah, it was a very long time. And this isn't even like, we don't know if it was related to the season. We don't know when they had broken up. But ultimately, it raises a lot of questions like, is there going to be conflict between the two? It's really interesting.
How does the game, play a role in this, if it did in any way? Because obviously, even if neither of them are traitor, it definitely puts a stressor on the trust between the 2 of them.
Absolutely.
And it is, at the end of the day, a social experiment in trust. So it's obviously sad for the 2 of them. I hope things ended amicably, but it's going to be interesting to see how that relationship changes, if it does, and how it is displayed on the show.
I think it's also interesting to note that they announced it during the season instead of after it, kind of raises some questions of like,
Why now?
yeah, why now? And also like, I would have. This is insane to say, and it shouldn't be reality, but I would have assumed that they would have had some contract that they wouldn't be able to say something like that.
Right.
However, obviously they did, and so it's raising so many questions, especially now that this episode has released and we see them start to form a bit of distrust between the two.
Right. I don't want to like read too much into this, like some sort of like Perez Hilton
Yeah.
gossiper, but this is screaming to me, oh, one of them gets recruited late game and it's, they're in the final two because they wanted to work together for the whole time. And, it's revealed that, I don't know, Shala's been a traitor for the last few episodes and Meredith has been, duped this whole time. That's something where it's like, I don't know if I could look at my partner the same way.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately they'd still both get the money, but
Right.
I think it's kind of like a she voted out her mom situation.
Exactly.
Like, you would just not expect it,
Very
and
Sierra
it could
Easton.
it could be like a very big moment.
And then we move on to the cars before the mission, where we see a little bit of chatter between some people. One case of chatter, once again, involves Shala, who I think is starting to become a prominent main character this season for sure.
Of the civilians, I mean, Shala is easily the most important. Like, I think Shala and Meredith are very big civilian characters because our other big characters are like Venus, Coco, Kevin, Omer, and then you have the duo there. And I'd say the only person that's like civilian level that's still on their like range.
I mean, we're seeing a few confessionals from Jericho, despite him seeming a little bit more quiet.
We have seen a lot of Lisette.
We have seen a lot of Lisette.
Lisette is more of a like villain main character, whereas I think Shala and Meredith are kind of like not anti-heroes, but like they're very gray characters.
And apparently, as of the breakfast this morning, things have been settled between Lisette and Meredith.
We thought.
We'll see.
Come back.
Yeah. In the car, we see there's a car full of 4 civilians, faithfuls, and we see Jamal, Rhea, Asfir, and Kara. And they're kind of talking about how Shala could be a potential traitor just due to the fact that they are really good at getting themselves out of trouble, especially at the last round table with the whole shield debacle. And Jamal even says that Shala could be a politician with how well they lie.
Yeah, I think both Shala and Meredith have shown already that they're very good at like lying and staying cool under pressure. Like, both of them have been in situations where they have just been lying. Like, you didn't have to lie to get through that situation, but it was very beneficial to them because they're so good at it. And especially Shala has been like very cool under pressure. It's kind of impressive, but very clearly suspicious for any faithful.
Right, and this is all without them even knowing that they're secretly a couple. So if that ever, gets leaked, I think they're in big trouble. Okay, now we move on to the mission. We kind of explained it a little bit. It's a kind of a, pick your favorite kind of challenge. It's a mission where the 4 faithfuls are stuck in a grave and they need the help of the other faithfuls and traitors to save them by giving them rungs to a ladder. They need about 15, and there's 15 times 4. What is that?
That is 60. I believe there's 59 in total.
There's
because
59
one
rungs.
person needs to be the one to die, and so the one person who doesn't get that missing rung is the one who is murdered.
And the person who inevitably does not get their last rung is Mackenzie.
Yes.
Are we surprised?
No. I barely remembered she existed, unfortunately.
I get her mixed up with Shaughnessy sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think the other 3 of them, during the car rides, people were talking about them in ways where, like, you could tell they weren't going to go. Like, Jericho, everyone wanted to save Jericho.
Yeah.
I think Thompson wasn't as, like, he wasn't as liked. People kind of are negative towards him. But, they were talking about him as if he's a big character, which I wish we saw.
Exactly.
But, he's probably not a very good confessionalist.
Right. Like, with the whole Venus Thompson beef, we see a lot of Venus bashing Thompson for throwing out her name. We never see Thompson throwing out her name.
No, we never see any of that information. And it's kind of like, it feels weird. It feels disconnected because you're expecting to see that kind of thing. But it's basically just Venus saying, I hate you. And the whole time Thompson is like, I'm a little guy.
Okay. So it's like we're left to wonder, like, what is Venus gonna try to save Thompson to banish him? Maybe, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And she does seem to be leaning that way. She wants to keep Thompson around so that he can be banishment fodder.
Right.
And who is the other person? Natalie. Natalie exists. It's unfortunate. We haven't seen much of her in general, but like
We heard her a lot coming from her
she
grave.
would not stop screaming.
She was yelping. She was screeching. And I mean, I guess it worked. She got her rungs.
I think they just wanted her to stop talking.
Right. I mean, maybe let's channel some of that energy to the confessionals. Maybe
Right.
let's get some energy in the confessionals, and then maybe we'll see more of you.
So after the challenge ends, we see that there are shields to be given out. We weren't told ahead of time, I don't believe. However, these shields are given to the 3 people who did survive from the grave. So Thompson, Jericho, and Natalie. I forgot her name every single time. Jericho, Thompson, and Natalie all get shields because they were in the graves but survived. Give them a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah, if I were one of the people who'd be put up for death row and I'd have to survive another murder, I'd be like, okay, maybe give me a shield as compensation.
Maybe you hate me.
Maybe you hate me. On the way back, we see, Hollywood maybe throwing out Jericho's name as like what did they say? They called him like a miniature manipulator.
Yeah.
I think that's a hilarious title.
Yeah. We did see quite a bit in the discussion leading up to the round table. I think the most notable one I can think of being how Kevin and Omar are definitely like, they're becoming quite a tight-knit duo, and Kevin isn't saying outright he's a traitor, but he's
leaving room for interpretation.
Yeah, he's making it very clear to Omar that he's a traitor because Omar is a player who wants to ride the coattails of a traitor. He wants Kevin to be his traitor angel, keep him around so that he can coast to the end and then vote Kevin out.
Right. And, Kevin's plan seems to be getting Coco out.
Yes.
So that he can get Omar in the turret, and it's kind of like a...
It's like a will they, won't they.
Yeah. Venus seems to be down with the whole anti-Coco sentiment. Like, it's giving very much Quebec-phobic. I don't know.
I think Venus is in a situation where she sees Kevin's option as more of a reliable outcome. However, she's not closing any doors because she's throwing Kevin under the bus to Coco as well. She wants the 2 of them to be the rivals so that she can sit in the middle, even though Coco states later that she wants to focus on working with Kevin.
So it is kind of like
it really is a love triangle.
It's a hate triangle almost. A betray triangle. We have a lot of talk before the round table. Not all of it is strategic, though. We see Rhea and Meredith having a little chat. I don't think I've seen something quite like this in TV, not at least in 2020's reality television. This seems something more, mid-2000s,
I couldn't tell if it felt really woke or like a hate crime.
A good mix of both.
Yeah.
Rhea clocks Meredith in a way because I think Rhea heard Meredith talking about her rugby experience.
Yes. Meredith is talking about how she was a former rugby player, and Rhea using that information and also just what Meredith is wearing, and she's like, are you gay?
It's giving very much the episode in Nicaragua where the one guy's talking to Sash and says, hey man, are you gay?
Yeah.
but you see, that one feels malicious. Rhea's feels, more... open, maybe, she's this is allyship. It's funny to see that. And, hopefully this could be good Rhea upside because if you can clock somebody as gay, hopefully you can clock the traitors. You can clock the traitors tea. All right, so let's move on to the round table. Remember, you get 10K. The faithfuls get 10K added to the prize pot every time they banish a traitor. Will that happen? Let's see. At the start of the table, the Venus-Thompson thing comes to a front, and we see Venus kind of addressing the accusations that Thompson was throwing out. He kind of tries to deflect it. He does an job.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell how substantial it is to everyone else because I just don't know. We don't get anything from Thompson.
Right, so we don't know how people perceive him, and when
he's in the hot seat, he still gives nothing.
Right, he's giving nothing burger. But then we move on to everyone's favorite rivalry, Lisette and Meredith. We thought they were over. No, they're going for another bout. And
yeah, it feels like it's getting to a point. And Lisette starts referring to Meredith as her nemesis. And it's like,
Okay.
Like, it's really funny, but, you know, it comes to a head where, like, it was one comment, and that was 2 episodes ago. Like,
Right, so
we can tone it down a
we can
little.
tone it down. Like, she gets called reactive, which from what we're seeing on the show is true.
Yeah.
Like Lisette is
Reactive? I'm
react-
not reactive.
even to that statement, she reacts a lot. So, like I said in last episode, it's either they're really not showing us something,
Yeah.
or Lisette is being a little,
And-
unrealistic and reactive so far. But this whole discussion here is not really productive for
Right.
them.
It doesn't do anything. And I think you mentioned before we started recording how Lisette kind of hinted that, like, there wasn't stuff that we had seen.
Right, on
And
her Instagram.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm wondering, like, was there actually something that kind of ticked her off? Or is this just, like, I want to know the truth to it, because it feels so, like, why are they prolonging it?
Because, I just came up with a saying recently. In reality TV, there's 4 sides to every story. In this case, there's a Lisette side, there's a Meredith side, there's the edit, and there's reality, right?
Yes.
So, we can't take the edit as, gospel. We have to, we'll never really know what happened in the castle. So we have to take everything with a grain of salt. But from what we're seeing, it seems a little lopsided.
Yeah. We get on to the kind of meat and potatoes of the roundtable, where Asfear starts getting in the hot seat from what we've previously mentioned, which I feel like kind of comes out of left field as, like, what's going on here. But as it slowly goes on, you see it ramping up, and Asfear kind of slowly, like, he's not defending himself well, and it's slowly getting worse and worse
Yeah.
as people keep piling on to him.
But this is so funny. Like, Traitors is now, like, it's starting to get out of its infancy. And it's so funny that now a reason to be suspicious of someone is that they don't have their traitor trivia in line. Like,
Right.
Asfear, called himself somewhat of a super fan. And now, since he was giving wrong information on the previous seasons of the Traitors, people are now looking at him weirdly because, is he trying to send out misinformation? It's so funny now.
It's like anti-Survivor. Like, you always want to get out the super fans because they're probably annoying, but also,
Right.
like, they know a lot about the game. I think that's kind of what starts the conversation, but then it quickly becomes pointing out every single fault of Asfear, where he doesn't really know how to defend himself. People are saying, like, he'd be a great traitor. He'd be so entertaining.
Really
then-
baseless stuff.
Right. And there's other things like how he was such a big name to push against Curtis, but then never talked at the roundtable last episode.
Right.
So it felt like he was kind of, like, trying to push the vote in his direction without, being at the front.
Yeah, so in the end, we see the vote split between Asfear and Shala. Asfear gets the majority of the votes, gets banished, reveals to everyone he's a faithful, not a good one,
Yeah.
and that's why he's going home. And we go a little bit of discussions.
Not much
Not
happens.
much.
We pretty quickly go into the turret, where for the first time this season, we actually get a normal turret. They're deciding who to kill, and there's a lot of discussion. Venus still wants to get Thompson out, but he has a shield. But ultimately, I think their big 3 choices that they want to decide between is sweet, sweet Newfie Shaughnessy.
Kitten was the adorable, beloved drag queen.
Yes, and then desperate housewife Kara.
Not Real Housewife, Desperate Housewife.
Desperate housewife of Toronto Kara.
The one thing I want to say about Kara is that when her name was brought up, some of the traitors said, I couldn't recall who, one of the traitors said, but we've got to watch out because she's one of Sarah Nicole's foot soldiers or
Yeah.
minions, which we have not seen anything about Sarah Nicole being a big player.
We've barely seen Sarah Nicole to begin with.
Honestly, I'd be fine if traitors took the New Era Survivor approach and did 90-minute episodes. I think they would
Absolutely.
benefit greatly from that.
That is something we mentioned briefly. Like, it felt like the episode was edited as if they thought they had 90 minutes, and then they had to cut down another 30 to fit 60 minutes. I'm really loving this season so far. I feel like from what was happening inside of the turret, they had so much, like, ammo. They had so much, like, footage to work with, but the edit is just not delivering on what probably will end up being like a great season.
Yeah, and I mean, this episode to me was better than episode 2, the one that I watched live. Don't get me wrong, but this is a critique out of love. I want
Yes.
more Traitors Canada. It's so good, but it's just like, if you can give me an extra 30 minutes, and then that way we'd get more confessionals from the Borings, I would take that happily.
It'll, I think, once we get accustomed to it, become a lot more like digestible.
Yeah, I'll give them grace because the first few episodes of a Traitor season are always hard when you've got such a big cast.
Yeah.
As you get whittled down to fewer and fewer people, you get to focus on each one of them more. So we're really looking forward to seeing that.
Right.
Speaking of looking forward to things, after this season of Traitors Canada ends, that is not it for the Traitors season. Traitors season's going to be going for quite a little bit. This one ends in December. Then in January of 2026, we've got 2 new seasons, one of Traitors US and one of Traitors UK. They're both the 4th season of their respective series. If you want a more celebrity-driven one, watch Traitors US 4. If you want a more civilian one, watch Traitors UK 4. And if you love Traitors, watch both. I know I'm going to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And lastly, a little bit of good news for the Traitors International world. 2 seasons that we previously thought were canceled have been brought back. Traitors Australia and Traitors New Zealand are getting renewed and picked back up. And the cast for Traitors Australia looks really good. We've got Kirby from Australian Survivor. And if you remember, she was just on Survivor Australia versus the World. So it's going to be fun to see how she plays. I don't know if she's going to be great on the Traitors. I think she's more of a Survivor player.
I think she's a Survivor, like, centric player. I don't know if I could see her doing well, but I think she'll be entertaining.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So at the end of this episode, I just want to ask you if you could give the Traitors a letter grade, or like, how would you rate them overall?
I think I would give Kevin a B, because he's just doing a little too much. Maybe B minus. I would give Venus an A minus again because she's staying steady and she's not doing anything to put any sus on her. And Coco, I would only give her a B minus or like a C plus just because she's letting the other 2 get a step ahead of her and, get in the position where they can take her out. But she is playing well socially. There's not much sus on her, but I'm afraid Kevin will put some sus on her.
Yeah, I think I would give about the same grades for all of them. Coco is, as far as the Traitors being intertwined with each other, she's in the worst position, but she's also the best at the round table. Like, she's shown she's really good at communicating. And then Venus, obviously, doing the best. Like, there's no doubt she's maybe the best socially, definitely the best, like, strategically. And Kevin is, like, up in the air. However, it's kind of starting to work out in his favor, which I was not expecting.
Right.
So I would also give him a B, but I could see him going way up or way down.
And I'm going to give Omar, our honorary traitor, an A+, because he always plays well.
Yeah, Omar is killing it. Our honorary traitor, he's basically, if they have to choose a new traitor, he'll be there.
The edit is setting that up.
And even as a faithful, he's playing the best.
Yeah. Well, that's it for today's episode. We hope you liked it, and we hope you tune in for our last 2 episodes on Spirit Live. We've got some special things planned.
Yes.
Perhaps we won't say too much. We won't spoil it, but
it'll be very exciting.
It'll be very, very exciting.
And if you want to look out for us after Spirit Live,
we have our YouTube.
Yeah, we'll be continuing the season this time. We want to go through the full thing, so it'll be less edited, more talking, more time.
More candid.
It'll be a lot of fun, and I hope you'll stick around with us.
Yeah, well, that was it for today, and y'all, we'll see you next time.
Keep on killing it.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.